All right, welcome back everyone. So let's kind of continue with where we left with the Microsoft Excel, but a quick peek at what we did yesterday. So we did play around a lot, team. We've had simple data that we applied filter to. We froze the first row, and we've also added some conditional formatting to it. And how we were able to sort them or filter them based on certain criteria and so on. And we've also seen how we can create our own currency converters or calculators. There's a lot that you can achieve, team, but most importantly, what we're creating are different templates here. And look at this, how we were trying to look at data and make sense out of it. So what is it that we've been doing as per each day? So you could talk about information that you're storing, team, information like, what's happening with your own personal life or your corporates or your project, and how can that roll up into information? So let's create some more data this time, and let's be a little bit kind of specific, okay? So let us say there's a project estimate. So how do we prepare a project estimate? Now, don't necessarily think that there's an IT project. Think of it even if it's a school project or an assignment. We still have to be able to do those submissions. So what do we plan with it? So nothing is coming to my mind, which is the fact that I will start writing out here saying there's a project overall plan and estimate. That's my main criteria. I'm just writing down that up there. Let's zoom a little. Now, what is important, team, is every project would have a start and an end date. It would have sub-tasks into each of them. It would have effort involved and who has to execute the task. Okay, so let's try and put that into the next sheet. I just wrote down this note here. So what do I want? If I look at it, I see that there are subtasks. So let us say we have a project, and the name of the project is, let's say, Alpha. And under the project, you may have a lot of tasks that you're planning to do. Let us say there is task 1, task 2, task 3, and task 4. Now, let's try and play around with this. It will get interesting now. Hopefully, I've not tried this myself earlier. Every project has a start date and an end date, correct? So I know then the total days it may take. Isn't that correct? And I can also then say the status of it. So the status is kind of done, not done. Okay. Now for this, I'll keep things very simple, team. Let's first create the basic version, and then we can try and expand on this further. So that's kind of my input details. So let's give some color quickly. I'll not take too long about it. Fill some good decent background to it here. And let's also assign it here. All right. So here what I will do today, what I'll do, team, is let's put a date. And any of these, let's have a schedule. Let's say that this started on 1st June. And this will go on to, let us say, 2nd June. Now, I don't know why it took that format, but if I say total days equals to last day minus the first day, then it should give me the number of days out here. So it should basically be able to tell me based on the date that I put, how many days are there. For me to do that, most importantly, I have to achieve this date format out here. So let's talk about this date format. So this number that is there, I don't want it as a dollar or as anything, but as a date. Let's see. Home. Where do I see a date format here? Number. General. There we go. Short date. Long date. And let's take a short date and see what it does. So what it requires are things like 01 hyphen June. I think it takes that date. Do you see that? It has automatically changed that. The way we write a date, the way we display a date. And you could keep it in this format team, or you could change this. Where am I trying to change it? Let's go back to home. In date, there are a lot of other things that you can do. Within date, see, do you see the format here? So we can pick any of this format that we are fine with. So we have just the date and the year, or date and the month. So if year is not very critical, you can always just take the date and the year. This is 1st June. Now that's the format. And this is again 1st June. But I'm now changing it to 2nd June. And do you see the total days has increased to 1? Now I copy these days and I'll put it here as is right now. And the same with this formula, and I'm going to paste it down. Now look at this thing. My next task will start after the end date of the previous task plus 1. So I'll say this equals old date plus 1. And now this I know that, let us say we finish by 7th June. How many days will we take? 4. Now the same formula will go to the other cell. See, look at how we did. 1st June I start, 2nd June I complete, next day I start on the task, I complete it on 7th June, I pick it up on next day, and we change the formula, and let us say this, we try and complete it on the 10th, and 11th June we start, and we take it to, let us say, the 15th. Now, that's my total effort in days. And I could then calculate that this is the planned schedule for it. Now, let us say at any point there is a deviation to it. I have finished this sooner than expected. So I'll say I finished it on the same day, so I can do things sooner. What do we have? When do we finish? So that is a way that we could represent data and how we could simply get it into a planned state. Now this is alpha, let us say. Similarly, you have another project called beta, and here you have more in the completed status. Okay, and very similar of the data itself team that we're putting out here. It doesn't say much, but let's say, I'll say here, done, not done. Okay, so 3 tasks are done here, the others are not done. And the date format is going to be the same, but I'm the only one working on it, let us say. So I will start day after I've completed project A. So this is equals to E5 plus 1. All this are simple, right, team? How we are doing, not too much of changes, but simple formula like adding 1 to it, finding the total of it. And you could also do it the reverse way. See, just please notice that this first 4 that we did, well, the data seems to be getting better. And let's give it borders. All right, I think we're there. So this is supposed to be the next one, beta. And then, now, what is it that I wanted to change here? I have a start date T, and I want to put effort here. So see, earlier, just for information, this was my formula. Now what will happen? This will be my formula. So I'll write the number of days. I'll say this takes 3 days, this takes 2 days, this takes 5 days, this takes 1 day. This is my estimation. Now what I will do, I will say this date is nothing but the start date plus the total date. And this becomes my new calculation. It does not matter where my formula is. It does not have to necessarily be in the same exact cells for us each time. So I have my formula in red there and my formula in red here. So you change anything in here, things will change. Do you see that? Everything changes based on how you put your data. So here you change the end date. Here you change the total date. Now, let's talk about overall now. So let us assume that this is what it is, team, the overall scope of our project. So if this is my overall scope, then what about answers to it? Like, I want to know status of certain things, team, and that's very important for me. I want to know, for example, in alpha, how many are done, and in beta, how many are done. And I want to know how many days is it taking for each task. So when we talk about pivot tables within Excel, we primarily focused at getting some good outputs out there. So let's see how we do it here. And I also want to take this, put it into Google Sheet, and be able to show you that. So this is my data right now, team. Out of my data, I'm able to insert from here. No, that's not here. Data. What if analysis? What do we have? Goal seek. So goal seek is a nice thing, team. Goal seek is basically, I'll see if I can show you, forecast sheet. Where is pivot tables here? Home. Insert. There you go. Okay. Insert a pivot table. So there is a set of recommended pivot tables, team, and this actually requires just peaceful thought, nothing more that is important. So let's start with something basic on it, then we will see. Okay. So I'm going to just select the project for now and say insert a pivot table. So it will ask me for the range of the table, team. What is the range that you want to select? So I'm going to give this entire range as of now. Okay, this is my range. I want data to come out of this. Where do you want to put that pivot table? In the same sheet, or you want to move it to a new worksheet? So I'll say new worksheet. Okay, so this is primarily where your pivot will come. So I'll say this is sheet 2, rename, task estimate, and then let's say this is your pivot. Now, this is what I want to see. In alpha, how many are done? In beta, how many are done? I would like to see that kind of a detail. So pivot table gives us that for combine a few columns and get something common. So I want a project. So see, as soon as I check on project, it is saying rows are alpha and beta. Now I want to add the column to a team. Let's say if I add status, it is coming out here. I don't want it here. So no status. And drag field between areas below. So I want it to come as columns. So let's see if I can drag it to columns. Where is that field? Status, done, not done. Okay, that's the values I'm seeing. But add to column label. Do you see this team? So column label done, not done. And then grand total. I have to move my go to webinar thing somewhere. Just locking this. So fields to add to the report. Those are the only two field teams that I have to add to the report. Drag field between areas below. Where are areas below? Status. Oh, status is here. Good. It's come here. Now values in this rows project. Good. Filters. I'm not applying any. Total days is the value. See, do you see this thing? My rows are the project in this case. My columns is the status and values is the sum total. So is this information correct, team? So it tells me the sum of total days. It does not give me, so for completing alpha, the total days are 11. And when we say 1 done, 10 not done, what do we mean here? Where is this not done coming from? One second, let me make sure, team. Done in alpha 1, beta 11. So 12 out of 23 have done. What is 12? This is sum of total days, team. We don't want the sum. I just want, what did I want? Status only, yes or no, completed or not. Count is enough. Count of total days. Let's say, okay, there we go. Isn't this correct, team? We had 8 in total. Alpha had 4 and beta had 8. So you could add more things here. You can say percent complete. That is equal to done divided by total. And now the 0.25 is a factor team. So you want to add a percentile to it. It shows you that 25% is done here. And how about the others? So this equals done 3 divided by this grand total 4, that is 75%. And let's see the formula works. No, formula doesn't work here. And this equals total done divided by total in scope. That's 50%. So you have basically now created a simple pivot table that says what is happening to my project as a whole. So I have given details here. Okay, and let us say that some of these are big projects, and this is taking 7 days, this is taking 3 days, this is taking 6 days, this is taking 9 days. So whatever be the change to the number of days, my count remains the same. Did you notice, everyone? That is one of my pivot tables that I've created. Now let me copy this and see if I can paste the same. I did paste the same thing. And now in this case, like we were trying to do earlier, I will change this to sum out here. So I want the total number of days that I've given. Is this correct? I don't think so. Total days, sum of total days. What? 11. This is 11, that is correct. This should be much higher. Let's sometimes save this thing because the data needs to get updated for us. I'll just say, oopsie, FA, save as, browse, there actually. So saved it, and so this is 3697. Let's change some dates here also, team. I'm just changing this to 18th. And this to 2. So what is this total now? 14 for alpha days. In beta, it takes 24 in total. So this has to be sum of total days. It's supposed to be that. How many are done days? How many are not done days? Defer layout update. No, we have to update it. So let's right click once and say refresh this team. Do you see that update happening at this time? The primary reason is these are not always, they require you to look at the data once and make sure that you have finished your data, and then automatic update may not happen to you. You will need to come in and do that. All right. So sum of total days. We have only 1 day done. We still have 13 days left. So what does it mean? This equals how much done divided by grand total. Okay, only 7% of the work is done. And then this is equals to total divided by grand total. That's 71% in this case is done. And what's my total then? It's equals divided by total, 47%. So as you progress on them, you would see that your pivot table is automatically getting updated and what we are progressing on. So let us say, so see here, most of these are done. So you see 17 days in beta are done, only 7 are not yet done. These 7 are not done. So this is a very, very accurate data team that you get. Sometimes it is not easy for us to be able to look at data and make any kind of an estimation or analysis by the fly. And this is just 8 rows in this right now. But if I go to a pivot table, it would give me a better clarity, understanding as to how things are progressing. So let's see how we can look at it again. So the count of total days, So let's refresh this also. Okay. This is not total discount of total tasks actually. Wrongly named ones. So each of them have 4 tasks. Alpha has 4, beta has 4. And then sum of total days for all tasks that are there. So any changes that you make here in terms of progress, let's say I've done this. I've done all, let us say, in alpha and also in beta right now. So this is all completed. Is today's date got anything to do with these dates? No. Today's got has no relevance in a team right now. It's just some date for it, around today's date, but does not matter. So now let's look at our pivot table. Everything looks what was earlier. Let's refresh this and let's refresh this. So in fact, I would see that most of them, why is there not showing up anymore, team? Can someone explain to me? Why do you think I don't see one column got deleted when I updated this? Because there's no other task in that status of not done. Now I take back few of them and say this is not done. Let us say this is not done and this is not done. It will get it back because now it says, hey, you know what? I have some more content in there that I need to look at. Make sense, everyone? Now, let's see if I can insert a row in here. So I'll right click and say insert. I already have 4 for alpha. I'm going to add a 5th task. So this task would be 3.x version, let us say. Okay, it's a special task that has come to us. These are all just task names, so it can be text. So 3.x is fine. I'm giving nothing special to it, existing date, but here I will say there's a question or this task is on hold. Now the same, I'm going to come here and insert one more and say beta 2.x this time. And this is on hold as well. So that's a new status team that has come. One is there for beta, one is there for alpha. Let's do a little bordering. Visual perspective becomes key for us. And team, this is kind of the last session that we have in an Excel perspective. What I want to do is play around a little bit more on the same concept, implement it in this one more session. And let me know if there are specific ones, like you want things like Google, like not Google, like Microsoft PowerPoint or something to learn, like organize something on that. Depends on your feedback. So Excel, this is the most important concept, what we've covered. I don't think we need to go beyond that. As you progress, you should keep looking into better ways to do it. Now let's look at a pivot table. So it's still done, not done. Percent complete here is something that we added. So that's cool. I don't need to worry about this. But all this other data that you see, which we're calling as pivot team, this pivot table or data is coming straight from this task estimate. So I keep that, and all that I'm doing is I'm going to refresh this. You see that, everyone? When I refreshed it, it said there's something more. And then there's a new one that's come onto hold for us. So this gives us a lot of view team. So I can go and see, oh, where is alpha? Okay, 7 done, 7 not done, 7 on hold. These are sum of total days. Here are the count of total tasks. That is where we have to be clear. What is it that we are looking at? Here is total days of effort. Here are the number of tasks that are there. I have 10 tasks. That's 51 days of activity to do. So anytime you have data that keeps moving, you can build this. See, for this, there is no point for me to use a chart graph. So for example, if I say, I want to take this and draw a graph out of it. Graph is when there is something comparative. I want to compare task 1 took how long to task 2. Then it makes sense, oh, let us insert a graph, a pie chart into it. It does not give us analysis onto what is the overall summarization, the count, the totals, and so on. That we get it here. Sounds cool and easy, team? Pivot. Now the same thing, let's take this and see if I can put it into Google Sheet. Did I do something? G Drive. Training. So I have Excel training here, team. In there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a file. I'm going to go to our training folder. And just go to our Excel. I'm sure I've saved this, team. Was the name of the sheet itself pivot underscore tables? I think so. And let's see if I can convert this. So I said upload that sheet to you. It primarily uploads it as is, as a file. When we want to open it, team, it's primarily opened it for a view only. Now I can say open with Google Sheet. So it basically converts whatever is there offline into an online edition. And this way, it's not just me, but even you who could access this document. So it looks like there's always this issue, team, whenever I'm converting it. I'm going to continue. What I'll do is very simple. I'll say new Google Sheet and try and repeat those concepts here. Okay. Come on, it's just a sheet. That's so sad. Try doing when you're online. This is what Google gives as a message to us. And it's been happening for so long, team. I mean, I can access other documents. Why can't I access this one? That's pretty strange. Let me go to private window. And I go to Drive and I say that in here. And I say I'll sign in. I don't know if I remember my password well enough. Yes, that it went in. So Excel, new Google Sheet, create and share. Don't throw me out. Say that way. Thank you. Pivot. So play. Now, let me get the data that we have offline, team. There was that. It's the same regular Excel file. Just that into it, we inserted a pivot table. Are we being very clear, team? Your understanding is getting easy for you. So I'm going to copy this content and go back to Google Play and I'll put it Google Drive and paste it here. So the same content that we saw, I'm putting it up here, team. And in fact, the biggest advantage of Google Sheets is that you can do the same things like you do with Microsoft Excel online, plus collaborate with others. So that's a very strong advantage too. So it's the same concept. I'm looking at this entire content that becomes key for me. And I'll say data, and there's no only filters here. Insert. Add-ons, tools. There you go. Data pivot table. Do you see this? And let's add it to a new sheet, or we could keep it in the existing sheet itself, team. And where in this existing sheet it's asking us. So I'll say, you know what? Just put it out here. And that's fine for me. I'm saying in the same sheet, let's do it. You can always put it into another sheet too. Now, we're trying to apply the same concept, team. It may look a little different, but the whole thing is trying to do the same. And it's got some predefined clauses. So look at this, average of tasks for each status. That's a good statistic to look at. It's saying average of tasks for each status. And what did it? It actually filled that. Now let's undo this. You see the sum of total days for each status? It is, okay, done 23 days, hold 13 days, not done 15 days. That's a great way to look at things as well. Let's keep that, insert one more nice one, data, pivot table. What else will it suggest? Existing sheet, click this. What location I'll show you out here. Say, okay. Create, okay, date range, sorry, data range. It needs to tell where the data will be. A1 to F11, I think that's the one, yeah. Overlapping, that's the problem. Create existing sheet, HA, create. Now, what is it this one? Average of total days. So we could always choose this, or we could do our own thing. What do I want to see in rows? What I want to add in columns? Let us say I want to add rows, and in this, I'll put as the status. So I know done, hold, not done. That is what I put as the rows. Now, against this in the column, let us say we add that what would be the task or project? So alpha, beta. These are my rows, these are my columns now. Now, what do I want to put here? That becomes my values. So I'll say either total days or what else did we do, team? Count is also there, right? We could also add the count, or you can say calculated field. Equals sum of sum. Where do I put a little bit more different out here in Google Sheet? I'm trying to put the date out here, team. Date. Okay. Let's see what we did in our Excel sheet. count of total tasks. That is what we want, team. So columns is there, and in this values, what do I want to put? The count of tasks. So I go to task and I say, let's put a count of it, or I can say average of it, sum of it. I'm putting a count of it and say okay. And no, that's done actually. So let's see now. Did it update? There you go. So 8 tasks in total. Is there 8 tasks, team? Why did hold come up? Hold it did not take for some reason. I'm just checking. It only gave me 8 tasks. Is it because I wrote this in a different pattern? It doesn't like that. 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, now it is giving me. It did not like that the tasks were not in the same naming convention, team. But once I change that, it is able to give us. And you could also put the sum in the same fashion as to sum of days that are there. So here we added the total sum of days, but we want it by each project. Okay, so then what I do is again select my data, go to your data and say pivot table, and you have this existing sheet. I know my cell is, let's say, here, and say okay to this. That's your pivot table that we're creating. So rows, let's say we want to add this time the project. Columns, I want to add the status. Let's make sure, team, what do I want to give? Sum of total days, is it? No, sum of total days. So here I have done, hold, not done, and grand total. Within this, I could put anything that I want. So rows and columns are added. Now comes the values that go in. So here we're looking total days, and we actually gave the sum itself. By default, it said that made logical sense. So it put the sum for us, and there you go. So now you come back to your data, change it if you would want to from a date perspective and make it even more. Oh, see, these dates are not getting reflected again, team. The formula did not get copied correctly. So let's redo this formula. So I got this, Control C, and I'll paste the same thing here, team. Okay, for formula. But do note that if you right click and do paste, we'll do a regular one. In paste special, we do values only. So no formatting will come, team. Oh no, paste formulas only I should do. Control Z. Right click, paste special, paste formula only. So it will only tell me what that formula is. In here, what is it? The formula is here. This equals old date plus the effort that we saw. That is how the new date is coming up for us. So now this is the formula. So copy this, and you're going to paste that formula here. Right click, paste special, paste formula only. And that should reflect and change everything that we do here. Do you see this? So as you maintain your content, pivot table gives you a great representation of the status, position, what is pending, what needs to be done further. There are a couple more things, team, quick ones that I thought I'll share with you. Let's do a new one. Let us say I have details here like A, B, C, and A has 10, 20, and 33, for example. If I copy this, and let's say Z is also there. Oopsie. Z equals to 100. Now see, this is my content, right? What if I want to put this as columns rather than as rows each? So see, the row Z has this detail and so on, and 100, I'll say, what? So that's why data, unless we give some real life meaning to it, it doesn't think well. I'm thinking of what should I call this. I'm not seeing an exact need this, but so see, here I have, oopsie, just insert one above. I'll say product and cost, for example. Now this is my product and cost. What if I want to show it as a not as rows but as columns? So what I'll do is I can go to a new sheet. I've copied this from the old sheet, so I selected that. So Control A on that and say Control C. And if you do a regular Control V team, it will paste the data as is. Okay, you don't want the data to be pasted as is. So you right click and say paste special, and you are looking for transpose. There is transpose here. Actually, right click, paste special. This should be the one. Do you see this? Transpose. I'm sorry. So now I have it more as a column. So I could transpose my rows into columns or columns into rows at any given time. Now look at what we can also do. So let us say I have this, and it's we'll just do a little formatting with this. Now I want to increase the column size to the exact width, so I'll double click on it. And these are my products and costs, so I'll right click and say there's a color to it. And then here I'll put another color. So the reasons I use colors is it is easy to distinguish. So anyone coming to see, okay, these two colors may be one group, these color could be one group, this color could be one group. That way, data is visually you're seeing them as pockets, you're not seeing them all at the same time. I think there's a big earthquake close by in Southern California. Okay, what was I trying to do? So, see, team, whenever you want to paste this content, right, and you try and put it up anywhere, it'll basically put that entire format also. So, if you want to just put it up, but again, don't want to get the style, so you use paste special or any of these options, team. So you only want to paste the values or only the formula that is there. If you want to transpose it, and only get the formatting, or if you have links to it, it gives you the option of how you want to be able to play around. And also, let us say I add a new one called D. It automatically actually gives in some details to it. Or yours, even if after gap I'm giving, it's automatically doing it. What if I do here K? There you go. So it's smart enough. It tells us that I'm adding more data to it. It takes it. So it looks at patterns also. So let us say that you want your numbers to have a better color. So you change it to 1. And let's say you put dark with a silver color. Now this is a font that you've given to it. and you italicize it. Let us say you change it from Calibri to Arial. So this is done for one field. How do you copy the same onto the other is basically what we call as your uh, paint formatter or format painter. So this is exactly like copy paste, but it is copying the format of that field. What is the font, the color, the size, all of those details. And I can select which fields I want to place and just say, select them with the mouse click and it pastes that format on it. For the same one here, let's say I want to give it a different one. Decrease the size and this way, maybe. Okay. And now this becomes my format as a template that I want to use for that field. So I copy that format and I paste. Select the first in all the cells and paste it in there. So it gives the same format to the other fields as well. So a lot you could do with achieving consistency in how you store information and data. There will be few more things, team, that I'm sure that we haven't exposed fully, but I believe what you saw is very critical for you overall. And now for us, important more is how do we apply it? Where do we take this forward? What else can you do next? But meanwhile, I would love to take any questions, team. Have anyone practiced? Did anyone have any issues on an Excel that I can look at? I would love to be able to troubleshoot. You need to raise your hand or send a message on chat. Looks like no questions, anyone. Why don't you give it a practice and then let's reconnect again then. Okay, that's it from my side for today, everyone. I hope you liked the lectures and the concepts as to what we could use, where we could use. Try it out. If there's anything that you have as a challenge, reach out. Take care. Bye for now. Have a great evening. Bye.